Okay, hi everybody to today's session, Collaborating Globally within Employee Resource Group. Today's session will be produced by me, Dominic, and will feature Anja Kunat, Andy Rubinson, Ezekiel Massa, and Miki Gamboa. I'd like to start with a few ground rules before we start our session today. Please use the tab on the platform to type in anything that you would like to type in. If you have questions, please use the chat on the platform. If you have any troubles entering the session as well. You will find the polls for this session under the polls tab on the platform. We will let you know once the polls come up in our session. As for the files, you will find the final presentation slides after this event. They will be uploaded there. To submit questions for the Q&A at the end of the session, please use the poll tab and go to the questions for speakers question and then enter your questions there. As for the agenda, we'll be talking about building the brand, our virtual Pride 2020 activities, our global communications initiatives, as well as collaboration tools to ensure a successful collaboration. And now I would like to hand over to the first speaker, Anja, talking about building the brand.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Dominic, and welcome also from my side. So my name is Anja Kunat and my pronouns are she and her. I'm based out of Germany and my day job is a support manager role and I lead a team of 22 colleagues. In addition to that, I'm the co-lead for the Pride at SAP German chapter. So for SAP, and Dominic, please go to the next slide. For SAP, it's really important that we are rated as number 70 in the International Brand SAP Top 100. This leads to the fact that we are rated as number 1 in Germany. As a consequence of this strong branding, it was really critical for Pride at SAP also to come up with branding assets which can be used within, but even more important, outside the LGBTIQ community. I will show you in our in the next couple of minutes our major branding assets and will also share some insights about our successes. So within SAP, and Dominic again, please go to the next slide. Within SAP, we have a Pride at SAP logo, which is used by all local chapters. Important with this logo is that we have on the one hand side a Pride at SAP logo, but we have also a hashtag logo, which we use for social media. All local chapters having their own logo with the extension of the chapter name. As you can see here, the Pride at SAP Germany logo. In Q2, we adapted this logo also, and also the hashtag logo with the black and the brown color to also show the inclusion of people of color. If we go on the next slide, I would like to ask you to use the poll functionality because I'm really interested in your feedback. So my question is, does your company, represented by the LGBTIQ+ ENG, also provide branding assets which are available to all employees? So please use the functionality and vote in the platform. Okay. So I give you 30 seconds. As you can see here on the screen, so there is the poll functionality. So please use it to answer the question. Okay, I see the answers coming in. So thank you very much for the feedback. So the feedback is that there are a lot of companies also providing branding assets which are available for all employees, and I think this is really great because I personally think it's really important that whenever you and other colleagues are working in the ENGs, that you also have branding assets you can use to make your work and your success also transparent to the whole company. Dominic, if you go to the next slide, I would like to show you that within SAP we have an image library with around 8,000 pictures. So these pictures need to be used whenever we create a presentation linked to our company. So all pictures are always up to date, and also major happenings are represented, as you can see here on the top right corner. So you see a person with a mask. So also now we have, for example, COVID-related pictures in. So it was a great success when we managed to also include pictures strongly connected to our community into the branding library. So right now, if you search for terms like Pride, LGBT, LGBTIQ, lesbian, gay, or trans, you will find pictures showing people or objects strongly connected to our community. So if you click 3 times, Dominic, so first you can see the same-sex couples and the family. And after that, you can see like the classical rainbow flag. And the last picture I would like to show you is like a person sitting in front of her computer. So this is really good because, for example, whenever I create presentation for me, and this is independent from my role as co-lead for the Pride chapter here in Germany or in my manager role, it's always really important for me to show diverse backgrounds and to really show and use diverse people in my presentations. So the next asset I would like to show you is our signature. So we have a corporate-wide standard for creating our signatures. So happily in this standard, there's also the opportunity, and this is still optional, to add the chosen pronouns. I think this is really important because this increase the reach outside the community. So whenever everyone is using the pronouns, this also will improve the visibility for the topic. In addition to our corporate-wide standard, we are also providing as ENG, we are providing signatures for our community to achieve the following things. So first, everyone can really show proudly that he or she is part of the community. And it's easier to show the pronouns by really having them bold, included in the signature. In addition to that, and you can see this in the first Pride SAP signature, it's also easier to offer the link to allies. So it means like also allies can show that they're supporting our community. And on the next slide, you can see my 2 signatures. So on the left-hand side, you see my support manager signature, where I have the pronouns included. And so I really receive a lot of questions. So why I have the pronouns included? Yeah, because maybe in Germany this is not that common, and I'm always really happy to explain to my colleagues why I have the pronouns included, and also what this means to the community. On the right-hand side, you can see my Pride SAP signature, which I use always whenever I have interaction or using and writing mails when I'm in the role as the co-lead for the German chapter. Then on my next slide, you can see virtual backgrounds. So since we are facing this margin, an increasing number of colleagues working from home, we also came up with virtual backgrounds, which can be used in meetings. So as you can see, we are following patterns you have already seen in the signature and other assets. So means on the one hand side, we make it easy for allies to show that they are allies for our community. And on the other hand side, again, the pronouns are really bold in the 2 virtual backgrounds you can see at the bottom. So having my last slide, and this is again a poll because I'm really interested in your feedback. Please go back again to the platform and answer the question. If your company is also providing branding assets, are you feeling safe to use these assets also out that community? And with that, I mean, for example, are you proud and use, for example, the background with the rainbow flag and the trans flag and the black and the brown stripe also maybe in one of the team meetings or in individual one-to-ones with colleagues outside the community? So as said, please go back to the poll functionality. And I'm really looking forward to receive your feedback there. Okay.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's wait another 30 seconds to give the participants the opportunity to answer the poll question. And then I would like to hand over to our next speaker today, Andy Rubinson, talking about our virtual Pride 2020 activities.
Hi, thank you, Dominic. Hi, I'm Andy Rubinson. My pronouns are he, him. In my day job, I am the co-lead for Pride at SAP North America. In my day job, I work in product strategy for SAP's procurement solutions. And I'm based in the Boston area. So, as everyone knows, this year was a bit challenging in terms of Pride celebrations. There were no in-office gatherings and Pride parades and things like we're used to. So we decided that we wanted to kind of gather folks from around the globe, all of our various leaders, to pull together. So if Dominic, we can go to the next slide.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So we pulled together the different folks from around the different main regions. So APG, EMEA, Latin America, Caribbean, and North America. Those were the individual regional leaders that we pulled together. And under each of those regions, we have a number of different chapters. You know, North America, we have quite a few, and we'll share some of these in the coming slides of some of the different areas and what we did. But we really got together and had regular coordination calls where we tried to talk about, you know, how can we do this? How can we really make this feel like a collaborative effort across the different regions? And what we ended up doing is creating a consolidated global event listing. And hopefully I'm not gonna mess things up too much, Dominic, here, but I did wanna quickly share my screen to kind of give folks just a sense of what what this looked like. So if you look here, hopefully everyone can see my screen now.
Yes.
So this is just, I'm not going to go through these. I've summarized these in some upcoming slides, but just to kind of give a sense. So we put everything into one place so that all the different regions can see it, so that people, if I wanted to watch something that was in EMEA or APJ, that we would be able to watch them all, you know, either participate in them or watch in the playback. So it was really kind of a collaborative effort. We even had some global things that I know Out and Equal had a series of different sessions that they had during Pride that we tried to promote to our different teams. So I'm going to stop sharing and we'll go back to the slides with Dominic.
1 second.
Yeah, no worries. I just had to throw a wrench into it. So as you saw, you know, they were aggregated by region, but you know, with that, we also had a lot of cross promotion of the event. So we have both global diversity and inclusion groups as well as like North America, and we really helped getting the different comms out through the different channels, including some of the business teams. Like I mentioned, I work for the SAP procurement teams, and we actually had a note from our president that highlighted the link to this Pride listing. So it was great to see there were a number of examples of that across the business, where we kind of, you know, got the word out to everyone. We didn't want it to be just, you know, an echo chamber of all the LGBTQ folks. We really wanted to be inclusive of allies or other people that maybe didn't know or wasn't as familiar with the LGBT community. So we did make it open to all employees. And then an important thing I wanted to note is, you know, we did have recordings that we posted. And I think the importance there is that as much as we'd like to feel that we have a very open and welcoming culture at SAP, there are those folks that may not feel comfortable having their name shown in a list of attendees for a session. So, you know, we knew it was important to have those recordings available so that they could watch it after the fact and feel safe and getting the information that they were seeking. All right. So now I want to just give you a quick walkthrough, so the smorgasbord of different events that we had. So we can move on to the next we'll just share the APJ events here. So at the regional level, there was an Ask Me Anything session. You'll hear a lot throughout the coming slides. We'll talk about the Ask Me Anything, and really that's a common format for our sessions, where we're trying to be transparent, trying to make people feel comfortable to, ask whatever you want. There are no stupid questions, and making sure that everyone can kind of feel comfortable participating in the conversation. In this particular case, we're talking about like, what can we do to move the needle of inclusion in APJ, whether it be through allies, through other programming, et cetera. And then two of the main chapters within the region, India and Singapore, had a series of events. You'll see with India, because the LGBTQ plus people are not as widely accepted, the programming reflected more on education, support, community building. So kind of that sensitization is actually helping people who may not really be familiar and know anybody who's part of the LGBTQ plus community to kind of introduce themselves and say, hey, we're your colleagues and we work with you and we're just like you, as along with anonymous support tools, so folks can feel like they can get support without necessarily outing themselves to colleagues, along with a bunch of more like social types of things. Singapore also had some great sessions. The SAFE session was meant to help people understand how they can best support someone who comes out at work or to their family. And also the transgender community challenges, that was done with a group called T Project, which is Singapore's first and only social service for the transgender community. And then they had a number of more kind of lighthearted sessions like lip syncing and a workout session with fundraisers and game nights. So let's move on to EMEA. So being that we are headquartered, our world headquarters is in Germany, we have quite a large contingent, and actually Dominic, our facilitator, and Anya are our co-leads for Germany. So they had a ton of sessions. You'll see that there were a number of Ask Me Anything sessions along with some expert talks, and they had some really engaging types of conversation topics. I thought the session about learning how it is to be out in other areas, so learning how people in Singapore and India are doing it, it kind of reminds people that everything is not, it's not as easy to be open in who you are. Some cultures, communities may not be as welcoming. So it's kind of giving up the perspective, there's still work to be done in other areas, even if we're feeling safe within our own community. The portraits of women and stereotypes during COVID. You can see Anya down there with some other folks in that picture right below, where they talked about kind of, with COVID and everyone staying home, the kind of the whole employee versus mother versus wife and the responsibilities. So it was a great conversation. And then for Rainbow Families, this was actually focusing on the LGBTQ parents and their children as the family unit, as opposed to in Hungary, there was also a Rainbow Family session, but this one was more about how parents and family members could be accepting to LGBTQ plus children or family members that are coming out. So it's two different slants on what it means to be family and how you support one another. And Hungary, as you can see, also had a number of other kind of more fun social things like after work beer, a viewing party, and a virtual run. And then in the Czech Republic, they had history. They had a drag queen that they brought in to present what is drag and give people informative history on what is it, why is it, and as well as a gender identity session. And with that, they actually had reached out to the North America team. And we hooked them up with a great speaker from the Human Rights Campaign who went through the whole gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation and differences, and it was a great orientation for folks who may not have understood that. And then we have a few more. You can see there are quite a few chapters in Europe, so let's go to the next one. Great. So in Switzerland, another asked me anything about coming out at work. Ireland had some real, I have to give Ireland some kudos because they've had some really interesting topics. The first one you see for Dublin, that offered a range of voices within the arts and media industry in Ireland that examined LGBTQ plus representation in media and the importance of queer culture. The NXF session discussed and debated how to best advance the LGBT equality, so strategizing on how to make a difference. And the Outhouse session, where they had speakers from different identities and backgrounds that shared their personal stories with a focus on the Dublin Pride's theme of "In This Together." Spain, you'll actually see there in the lower right that that's a magazine, the Positive Window, translated into English. And we had a session where the team discussed the article that they had in this magazine. Normally, the rainbow SAP logo at the top does not have the rainbow in it, so it was a special issue for the Pride Month where they talked about the origin of the International LGBTI Day and events associated with it. And we also had a session celebration in Africa, and I know we have a couple of members from our South Africa chapter here attending Out and Equal with us. All right, and now we get to my baby, which is the North America programming. So for North America, we really focused on kind of a big bang. So we kind of focused on one session where we tried to get a lot of activity, and we ended up having over 500 people that signed up for this. And what we did was we had some pretty high-level folks. Margot, you see there, is our head of North America Diversity and Inclusion. We had our global chief marketing officer, Alicia Tillman, join us. Eric Stein, who's our executive sponsor. And then we had a broad cross-section of different people. We had a gender fluid intern from Montreal. We had a lesbian married couple, a transgender person, a person of color, Tyrone, who's actually also my North America co-chair for Pride at SAP. And we just brought them all together to share their experiences. It was really meant to be an opportunity for folks to get to understand some of the different colors of the rainbow, so to speak, and who the LGBTQ community is. And it was a fantastic conversation. We actually had a follow-on, deeper dive with a few of these individuals in a later session in July as a follow-up because it was so popular. And then if we can advance one more, Dominic, we had a variety of other sessions as well. The pivot session in Pacific Northwest, where they actually repurposed some funds that they had when they were originally planning to go to like the Pride Parade and an in-office Pride event. They repurposed that money along with some funds that they got from a Small Business Week event that was canceled due to COVID. And what they did was they purchased 660 meals and 460 articles of clothing from 3 local queer-owned small businesses and donated them to Youth Care, which is a group that provides shelter and services for homeless youth. You'll also see we had some things like virtual drag queen bingo, which was a blast. They actually had, the Pittsburgh chapter had another session of drag queen bingo just a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. Around the Sweat for Good in New York City was actually classes that were led by 2 Black queer young artists based in New York City who teach at 305 Fitness, which is a dance workout studio. And they had voluntary donations for those who attended to support Black trans communities. And the other one I'll point out here is at Pride, they had a film festival that was presented by Out on Screen, the group that hosts the Vancouver Queer Film Festival, and Out in Schools program that uses the film to teach British Columbia students about diversity and understanding. So one more here. The last one is the LAC region. And again, you can see a broad variety. They had the Cross LAC live show series that includes an overview of Pride Month, some interactive games, and very special panel and talent show. The D&I and art session was a great idea. It was a contest that was focused on employees' children, and they basically put out an open invitation to submit drawings with an inclusive message. Brazil did Privilege for Sale, which was an exercise that helped people think about their privilege in an interactive session, which folks found very engaging. And Mexico, Love and Relationships during COVID, just looking at how relationship dynamics changed in the COVID. I'm sure people on this call can share a lot of stories about how things change, a lot more cuddling, hopefully going on. And gender breadth, similar to the gender identity session in Prague, where they talked about the differences between gender identity and sexual orientation. So let's go to the next slide and actually move over to the polls, if we could. And the last poll topic here is just to get a sense of what did other ERGs, groups, folks on the call, what types of events did you have for your Pride events this year? Check off all that apply. And if you don't see what you have and you want to add something into the chat, please do go ahead and type it in the chat, but let's just kind of take a peek.
But just for your information, if you use the chat, please use the chat on the platform.
Yes, in the Pathable. And I'll say, I've seen some messages within the chat that say that people aren't finding the polls. They should be in that chat box. If you scroll to the top and next to the word chat, it says poll. So hopefully folks can find it okay. But it looks like I actually have to check off some things myself in order to actually see the results. But yeah, let's give folks, we'll give you another 30 seconds for that. And respond. All right, so let's see how we did. Oh, great. So we're seeing a lot of things come in. So we have quite a few folks. So the looks like the winner is community building so far with 35 folks. A lot of things with allies, and we know allies are really important in terms of driving that support a system and creating that culture of acceptance within your organization. Great, we had some things on, so community building has gone even higher. Well, this is great. So it looks like there's been a good variety of different sessions. Hopefully some of the examples that I shared will give you some ideas of things to consider for next time. And I don't see any other new topics that we missed. So it looks like we'd had a pretty comprehensive list. So with that, I wanted to quickly share one other thing that we did for Pride is we have a social media team called Life at SAP that posts things on Facebook and other social media that talks about different aspects of life at SAP. And for Pride Month, they put out a call to a variety of the different groups, actually globally to all of the Pride chapters, asking for them to share about how they view their experience of being out and gay at SAP in our culture. And we're going to play this short video clip, and you might recognize a few of the faces.
Pride at SAP colleagues were tremendously supportive in helping me come out last year.
I'm proud to be SAP.
Pride at SAP.
I came out at the beginning of my career.
Before working at SAP, I was very afraid of telling people that I was gay.
Some years ago, living abroad, I realized people live another reality inside the closet.
I began transitioning 5 years ago, but there was one area, work, where it was so difficult to let go of my former identity.
For perspective, I started my career off at the Department of Defense, where I could have been fired for being gay.
My manager was the first person I had come out to, and since then, there was no looking back.
It's a place where I feel safe to be myself.
I really don't have to feel uncomfortable mentioning my husband when I'm speaking with my colleagues.
Life at SAP is that I never really had to come out. Instead, I could be myself from day one.
I am welcome here.
I am able to go to work every day without having to leave a portion of who I am behind.
I am grateful to work for a company like SAP, and I am proud to be my authentic self in the workplace.
What's the point of working with a bunch of really interesting people if you don't get to learn about how interesting they are?
Okay. Andy, would you like to say anything about the last slide?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I don't remember muting myself. Great. Yeah, just wanted to have a few final comments here of just kind of the lessons learned that we had from this. Basically, for next year, we thought we wanted to even do further alignment of content and collaborate with multi-regions so that we could have like an LAC, North America, EMEA type sessions, and even get a tighter, more consolidated set of sessions and more collaborative. Very important to have an early start on the communication. So when planning starts, don't do it a month out, do it, multiple months out. And then we found to be very helpful is having project plans to make sure that you have a communication channel, how you're going to get the word out, something with content and brand, making sure that all your presentations, speakers, etc., are up to snuff, and even platform and venue, figuring out, do you want to go for Zoom, Teams, how many people are you expecting, and what, can the various platforms at your disposal, what can best support it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ezekiel to talk about corporate communications.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for that intro to our virtual Pride 2020. That was great to relive those sessions as you walked us through
memory
them.
lane.
Yeah, exactly. That was very nice. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ezekiel Maza. I am based in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. I've been with SAP for a little over 9 years already, and I am very happy to say that as of April this year, both my gay job and day job have merged, as I am the head of diversity and inclusion for Latin America and the Caribbean. Before that, I used to work in finance, and I was the lead for our Pride at SAP ERG. And my pronouns are he and him. And as Andy was mentioning, I would like to share with you a bit about how all of this was possible from a communication standpoint. So if we can go to the next slide, thank you. And well, as you may imagine, any plan from our employee-driven initiatives calls for alignment with multiple stakeholders, such as human resources, the communications teams per se, employer branding, marketing, and our global diversity and inclusion office. Or well, as we like to call it, the GDIO. I don't know if it happens with all organizations, but at SAP we have acronyms for everything. It's hard to keep track of them sometimes, but that's who they are. The GDIO. They are tremendous, helpful with everything that comes out of the ERGs. And this I'm sharing with you now is an overview of our diversity and inclusion strategy. Which is focused on 3 main pillars: inclusive career journeys, inclusive culture, and diverse ecosystem. So what does this all mean? Basically, ensuring that everyone feels welcome and encouraged to be their authentic selves throughout the entire employee life cycle, with a focus on attracting, developing, and retaining diverse talent, enabling our leadership to be more inclusive and holding them accountable if they're not. And also leveraging our technology for inclusion, both internally and externally. How do we do that? By guaranteeing accessibility and supplier diversity, by developing a robust talent attraction strategy, and also by empowering our employee resource groups for greater impact. Part of building an inclusive culture at SAP has to do with the actions that we can take on our daily lives for our employees to thrive. And that's where employee resource groups come in, and they play a key role in that. As I mentioned when I introduced myself, I'm lucky that I can spend now 100% of my time to D&I. But without our employee network leads and the volunteers and the sponsors and the mentors, a big part of what we do wouldn't be possible. So my appreciation goes out to each and every one of them. And their engagement is key to our success. And that is also crucial when it comes to any diversity and inclusion strategy, recognition and appreciation of everyone involved in creating a safer workplace for everyone. So this current context where over 100,000 employees worldwide are working remotely, it has allowed us to collaborate more with each other, more than ever, I would say. If there's any positive impact that we've had as a result of the pandemic is collaboration. And the new ways of working that we've developed that really have connected us with others beyond our locations and regions and lines of business. And that, all of that has helped us create this global agenda that Andy just shared with you. And that anyone and everyone, no matter where they were located, was invited to be part of. So going back to the beginning, our link with the Global Diversity and Inclusion Office, the GDIO, and with the regional and board area D&I leads was key to ensure that the right focus was given to Pride Month, both bottom up from the ERGs themselves, but also top down from our leadership. All these people, the GDIO, the D&I leads, they all act as a liaison between the ERGs and leadership. And they help position our goals and activities around the globe. And they also are multipliers of our message. And if we go to the next slide, we can see an example of the communications that we got from our leaders. And this is just a sample of the many messages that we got from all over the world. And this one in the center is from our CEO himself, Christian Klein, who talked about the history of Pride Month in his post. And that's really something, right? That's beautiful to see, to have a straight ally in the highest ranking position at SAP, to take the time to write a message about the importance of Pride Month and the importance of inclusion of everyone, standing by everyone in the LGBTQ+ community. And the same happens across all regions at all levels. And if I may, if we go to the next slide, I would like to share with you, perhaps in a bit more detail, those messages that stem from Latin America, because that's the region that I'm part of. And I'm very proud of these three people in these pictures. They are leaders in the business, in HR, in finance, and probably, well, if you don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, you might not understand what they're saying. But basically, the message here is that they are proud of the work that we do, that they value diversity and inclusion, that they value having a diverse workforce, and that they find it crucial to create a workplace where everyone will be cherished for who they are, and that they want their kids to grow up in a world that's more empathetic and equal. So that's really, it's moving, at least for me, being part of the community, to see also the highest ranking people in the region to, come across and say that, to support us. So all of this that I was just mentioning, and these messages, all of this took place during Pride Month, but it's the culture that we live in throughout the year. And in fact, now I will share a video in the next slide that was created by the North America team that shows how powerful we can be when we collaborate and we work together, because that's the key, right? To be intersectional in our approach and in the activities that we promote. So let's play the video.
It's important to remember we're not alone when driving for diversity and inclusion at SAP.
The employee network groups at SAP can work together to support each other
and learn about both the intersectional and unique challenges that our members face to raise awareness and drive empathy and understanding within the SAP culture.
We're looking for opportunities for collaboration across all ENGs, from cross-functional events and activities.
Inviting members from other ENGs to join us to learn from different perspectives.
We also want to drive more collaboration at the local chapter level. bringing together E&G leaders in your office to align and support each other.
So let's focus on supporting each other in achieving our goals and learn how we can create a culture of acceptance for those who are different than us.
We can do this if we work together. Please join us.
We can do this if we work together. That's the key, and that gives you a glimpse into what we call life at SAP and how we run and how we always strive to build bridges and not silos. So I think that we can move on to Miki now, who is our global Pride at SAP lead. He will talk a bit about the tools that we use to make this happen. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ese. Quickly, I want to just confirm if you can hear me loud and clear. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. I'm nodding of heads everywhere from Ese and then Anya. Cool. Awesome. So as Ese mentioned, I'm Miki Gamboa. I'm based here in the Philippines. My day job is I'm the Learning Community Manager for one of the board areas or organizations within SAP. And my gay job, as they call it, I'm the global lead for Pride at SAP. So as my wonderful colleagues have been talking about collaboration, making sure that our ENGs are working together or working with each other to make sure that our collaboration is impactful. There's a fun fact that's not stated in this presentation that happened behind the scene while we're working towards this collaboration. So at the start of the year, the planning was, let's make it fabulous, let's make it impactful because it's the start of the year. So January happened. And then along the way, we were talking on the side regarding how does that look like, we're gonna implement, and then COVID happened, the reality of COVID happened. 3 weeks before Pride Month, we were scrambling back and forth on how we're gonna do this. And our wonderful colleagues from around the globe, all the chapter leads, put their heads together to say, let's flip the switch and make everything virtual. And there's an aha moment right there that this is a future possibility that we can actually do everything virtually now without the boundaries of geography, of time zones, of different locations. So there will, if you have seen Andy's presentation, you saw that there's a lot of working together and working with each other based on topic areas that you're interested in. So hopefully, with the situation still happening with COVID, hopefully there is a silver lining to everything that we are doing. And hopefully the benefit of collaborating more continues. So I'd like to see that. And because of that, I would say collaboration is in the DNA of Pride at SAP because another fun fact is we're going to be celebrating our 20th year next year in 2021 as an ENG or Employee Network Group. So we started in 2001 in Germany and in Palo Alto, and then evolved a bigger global footprint for Pride at SAP. So that's something that we are looking forward to for the next phase of Pride at SAP, the next 20 years, if I may say so. Okay, so for my presentation, it's about collaboration tools. They have talked about the content, the marketing materials, the visuals that we are using, the branding that we're using, the messaging and communication. I want to present to you the tools that made it possible. So I want to share my screen very quickly. Let me see here. Okay, screen number 2. Okay, there we go. Awesome. I'll keep my folks to the right so that I can see their faces still. I hope that's okay with you guys. All right. So this is one of our collaboration platform, which is called SAP Jam. This is our internal collaboration and sort of intranet for everything that we're doing. So this is available for all SAP employees. And if I do remember, we also make it available for our clients, for SAP clients and customers for that matter. So this platform can be customizable. Right now, if you can see, we have about 8,000 members globally. That's the reach of Pride at SAP as of the moment. And this is where we house every information, announcement, events that we have from, say, January up until Pride Month. So If you can see, it's organized based on events, topic areas, videos, and anybody and everybody who's part of Pride SAP can definitely post here. It is a public group, which means everybody, if you're trying to search for this group within SAP, you'd be able to see this easily, okay? And besides the main landing page, you would be able to see all the global leads here, the list of names from all the chapters from APJ, EMEA, LAC, and then North America. It's listed there. If just in case the interest is for you to launch your own chapter in the future, it's easily be seen who are the existing chapter leaders all around the globe. If you're interested to connect with, say, Andy, who's part of the North America team, and you're interested to launch a local chapter, for example, or if you want to connect with our leads in APJ, and if you're interested to launch more chapters in APJ, you have experts in launching ENGs in that regard. So this is for the reference. And of course, as mentioned a while ago by Andy and presented a while ago, this is the shorter version, I would say. This is the shorter version of all the events that we have done in or during Pride Month. This is the recorded sessions of everything that we've done so far, and it's easily watchable after the fact or after the Pride Month. So far it's here, it's being used, and people have asked a lot of questions about it. All right. Another tool that's very helpful for us when we're collaborating is our tool called SAP Signup. So this is an internal tool within the organization that would allow us to create events and then send notification to a close group of audiences that hey, Pride SAP has an event, sign up. If you're interested, go ahead and sign up. And what it does, it publishes the events here, wherever you are. It's very virtual. And then once you submit your interest to join an event, it would block your calendar basically. So that's that. So this is one of our effective tools to collaborate with one another. And of course, the last one that we have, if I can open, say Teams. Okay, so within our MS Teams or within our platforms that's available for us, we have our MS Teams. So, and we have our global leadership Pride at SAP MS Teams that's divided into several channels. I've intently posted it under events because we are doing events right now. And currently we are planning for the International Coming Out Day. So that's how we collaborate with one another. So make it visible to communicate with one another and making sure that everything here is listed and organized. All righty. I'll probably pass it on to Dominic since that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks so much, Nikki, for sharing. Let me again share my screen real quick because now it is time for our Q&A session. As mentioned in the beginning of our session, please use the poll section for enter your questions for the speakers here to submit new questions. We do have some more minutes. I will just start with the first one that comes to my eye here, and let me unshare real quick in order to give you the chance to see our speakers, which I hope is working. The first one was, will this deck be shared? Yes, these slides will be shared after the event.
They're in there, Dominic. People can grab them.
You can find them in the file section. Thanks, Andy.
I did it when nobody was watching.
Okay, great. Let's start with the first real question here. What is your go-to explanation for pronouns when someone asks? Anja, as you brought this topic up at the beginning, I would like to hand over this question to you.
Thanks, Dominic, and thank you very much for that question. So when someone asks, like, why I add the pronouns to my signature, I always start the explanation with gender is non-binary. And I like to explain, okay, it is not only she and her, he, it's also something in between. And then I always explain, like, when because I identify as she, so like really traditional, right? If I add this to my signature, it will be easier for colleagues or people overall identifying as they, for example, also to add this to the signature and also to be proud of it, right? Because I think it's really important, like that we have our stereotypes, right? And like there is an impression if you see someone, like you put the person to a gender, but I think this is not always true. And I think to add this to the signature also improve the visibility and will start the thinking about, is this really or like to foster that it's necessary that you ask someone about the pronouns and not think like your truth is also the truth for the other person.
Thank you so much, Anya.
Can I share, Dominic?
Yes.
Because I had a teammate who he's from France, and he said, Andy, what do you mean by Andy Rubinson, he, him, his? And so I actually looked up the thing. I said, they are my gender pronouns. They designate my preference and how I'm referred to. For instance, if someone is transgender, they could prefer being called he, she, or they. Not everyone thinks of themselves as he or she. It's becoming more common practice to ensure diversity and inclusion is being actively practiced. Not sure how many or how common it is in Europe, but becoming more common here, at least in more progressive circles. And then I shared an article from the BBC that spoke more about it. But that's how I handled it.
Thanks so much. I have just spotted a question that comes up a lot, also in Germany, when Anya and I talk to people about our activities. I would like to bring this up to the round now. How do you expand your ERG and provide support in countries where LGBTQ is taboo or illegal? Ezekiel, I would like to hand this question over to you.
Okay. I cannot talk about illegality in LAC, but I can talk about taboo in certain countries. It's very, very difficult, of course. But it's a matter of finding still the people who are willing to take on the challenge, right? And I would say that out of all the countries where we have a subsidiary in LAC, perhaps there are certain locations where this topic is a bit more difficult. It's not the same having this discussion in Argentina, which is known for being very progressive, as having this discussion in Peru, for instance. So it's a matter of finding volunteers who are willing to take this on and start right from scratch, right? Having the first initial conversations, creating a team of people who are willing to support, and making this a topic that's visible, right? Providing visibility, and probably, or at least in our experience, we didn't get many out colleagues in those locations. They weren't comfortable coming out. I'm sure that there must be, but they were never comfortable coming out. But at least that they know that SAP is a safe space where they can do it, right? We're not trying to push anyone to come out of the closet if they don't feel comfortable, but at least for them to know that it's okay for them to do it.
And then maybe to add on from my side, because what I always did before we faced the COVID situation, whenever I traveled to a location, I always met with the local colleagues strongly connected to Pride at SAP, and that without like that they really need to come out, but whenever I see that they are strongly connected to the topic and to D&I topics, I always met them to talk face to face, and I think this really increased the feeling of belonging to the community.
Thanks, Anya, for elaborating on this. As we are a bit short on time, I would like to give another question a shot. And Mickey, I would like to hand this one over to you. 1 second. Where did it go? Okay, there is it. Were these programs all at local level generated locally as grassroots, or were they created at regional or local level and disseminated?
That's a good question. It's actually a very good collaboration of top-down approach, which means senior management communicating the message of inclusion, as you've seen in the slides before. There's a strong push from GDIO in partnership with all the leadership team for a deeper understanding of what inclusion looks like within the organization. How can we communicate it to our people? So basically from top management, it is understood. as well as how does it look like if it's implemented to the grassroots level. So employees who might be interested to be part of, say, an ENG, or who's interested to, or would like to find a crowd or a tribe that they want to belong in, you have the ENGs to support you for that. So most of the time, if the support from management is there, the efforts of ENGs like ourselves and Pride at SAP complements that. So grassroots will be the Pride at SAP efforts, and we do that through a lot of alignments with GDIO, with HR, with top management. It's basically working together towards a common goal, which is inclusion at work.
Mm-hmm.
But I would add that it's also at the chapter, at the local chapter levels, there's certain things that are driven from the bottom up as well. So we're not dictating to them what they have to do. So if there's an event, or if there's a group that they want to have a volunteer event with, there's definitely local level things. We kind of have high level goals and things that we share across the different chapters across Pride at SAP. But each individual chapter kind of has their own freedoms to kind of focus on the things that they're most interested in and their members are most interested in.
Exactly.
Thank you, Andy. Actually, this would bring me to the next question, which I would like to raise to you. The participants had all great suggestions. How do you get global support? And we often struggle with local countries wanting to do their own thing.
So I guess the question is exactly what do we mean by global support? I mean, we because we have this infrastructure, as I mentioned, so we have Mickey as the global lead, we have the leaders of each of the regions. So we have North America, APJ, et cetera. And then within those, there are different chapters. So we have one of the teams that Mickey showed was basically the global lead team. And then we have a separate North America team site for all of our members. So there's a whole other kind of communication level that's going on there. So I feel like there's coordination, collaboration going at all the different levels. And I don't feel that the global support, I guess in terms of having like meetings, we have regular meetings with the folks that are considered the global leads to try to kind of share our activities, what's going on, and talk about things at that level. But there's still a fair amount of like autonomous abilities across the different regions. So while we try to kind of stay loosely aligned, we're not all having to march to the exact same thing. So I don't know if this is a great answer, but I know I'd say it's kind of a combination of we have communications ongoing at the global level, and we have executive sponsors as well that we try to have set up across the different chapters, and all of those are different forms of support, and we support one another.
Yeah,
but if one of the other folks wants to add.
Sure. If I may add as well, I think the difficulty of launching chapters at the local level is finding a good backbone from policies perspective. So if you can review and check the context of HR, say in terms of people agenda, or say discrimination, inclusion, GDIO, basically diversity inclusion mandate for your organization, you can use that as a springboard for conversation with executives. And then at the local level, try to engage with teams. For example, if you have a very strong women's network or business women's network in your team, you may want to partner with them for their reach and therefore for your audience if you're starting to launch your own Pride chapters at the local level.
Okay, thanks, Mickey. We do have 2 minutes left. I'd like to link 2 questions for the remaining 2 minutes. The first one would be, what is the anonymous support tool you use? And we're looking for something similar for virtual safe space. And I would really like to link this to the question, how do you ensure that users of SAP Jam platform or teams who live in countries where LGBT+ is criminalized remain anonymous?
And the anonymous support tool, Mickey, I believe that was in India. I'm actually not familiar with myself. I don't know if you...
That's true. Exactly. So what they did in India was to create a portal. Since the topic of LGBT inclusion at work in India is still pretty new. It's in, I would say it's in infancy stage. They started doing it in 2017. What they did and what they did amazingly was to make sure that people who might not be out at work are comfortable. So they created an anonymous, not inbox, but a portal that people can ask questions freely regarding topics like LGBT at work, inclusion, everything and anything under the sun for LGBT topics. For JAM, on the other hand, there is no tagging specifically. If you're part of the LGBT community, you should be in Pride SAP JAM group. No. How we market it and how we try to send up the messaging for this is, this JAM page is for anybody and everybody who wants to feel included. So we have our allies there, our executive sponsors, people who are curious to find out about Pride SAP activities, who are happy to support us. So there's no specifically saying if you're part of the JAM group, you're automatically LGBT. No, that's not the messaging that we usually send out to our employee base. And it's a fact with the number of employees that you can see in our JAM group.
Great. I would say that's a great ending. Thanks so much to the speakers and of course to all the participants of today's session. I would like to mention our survey on the platform, the Path of the platform. You can see it on the slide right now. It would be super great if you just clicked the link and helped us by improving our presentation with your feedback. With this, I would like to end the session. You will find the presentation slides under the Files tab, and here are our speakers for the final time. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are, and maybe talk to you soon.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Everyone.